The unexpected discovery. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Zara Chen as she guided her salvage ship, the Rusty Nail, through the debris field. This far out in the Omega sector, most salvagers wouldn't dare to venture. But Zara wasn't most salvagers. Her reputation for finding valuable tech in the most unlikely places had earned her both respect and envy in equal measure. As she maneuvered around a particularly large piece of twisted metal, her ship's sensors began to chirp insistently. Zara's eyes narrowed as she studied the readout. Well, she muttered to herself, a grin spreading across her face. What have we here? The sensors were picking up an energy signature unlike anything Zara had encountered before. It was faint, barely there, but it was undeniably artificial. And old. Very, very old. With practiced ease, Zara adjusted her course, following the tantalizing trail of energy. As she pushed deeper into the field, the debris began to change. No longer random chunks of metal and rock, but uniform pieces that hinted at a larger structure. Hours passed as Zara carefully navigated the increasingly dense field. Just as she was considering calling it quits for the day, the debris parted, revealing a sight that made her breath catch in her throat. Before her floated an enormous space station, its design unlike anything human or any known alien race had ever created. Its surface was a mesmerizing blend of organic curves and geometric precision, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. "Holy shit," Zara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. This wasn't just a salvage find. This was a discovery that could rewrite history. As she brought the Rusty Nail closer, Zara's excitement was tempered by caution. She'd been in this game long enough to know that the biggest prizes often came with the biggest dangers. She ran a full spectrum of scans, searching for any signs of active defenses or unstable systems. To her surprise, the scans came back clear. The station appeared to be in a state of dormancy, its systems running on the barest minimum of power. It was as if the entire structure was holding its breath, waiting for something. Or someone. Zara docked her ship with painstaking care, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and nervousness. As the airlock cycled, she double-checked her suit's seals. No matter how many times she'd done this, the first step onto an unknown structure always sent a thrill down her spine. The interior of the station was just as awe-inspiring as its exterior. Corridors stretched out in every direction, their walls adorned with the same shifting patterns she'd seen outside. The air was stale but breathable, speaking to the incredible efficiency of the station's life support systems. As Zara made her way deeper into the station, her suit's sensors continued to pick up that strange energy signature, growing stronger with each step. She followed it like a bloodhound on a scent, her curiosity overriding any sense of caution. Finally, she found herself standing before a massive door, easily 3 times her height. The energy signature was emanating from whatever lay beyond. Zara studied the door, looking for any kind of control panel or opening mechanism. Finding none, she placed her hand against its smooth surface. To her shock, the door responded to her touch, spitting down the middle and sliding open with a soft hiss. Zara stumbled back, her heart racing. "Okay," she said aloud, her voice echoing in the empty corridor. That was unexpected. Taking a deep breath to steady herself, Zara stepped through the doorway. The room beyond was circular, its walls lined with what looked like data terminals. But it was what stood in the center that truly caught her attention. A pillar of swirling energy rose from floor to ceiling, contained within a transparent cylinder. Within the energy, Zara could make out a vaguely humanoid shape, as if someone had been frozen mid-motion. As she approached, the energy began to pulse, growing brighter with each step she took. The hair on the back of Zara's neck stood on end, every instinct screaming at her to turn and run. But she pressed on, drawn by an inexplicable feeling that this was why she was here. When she was just a few feet away from the cylinder, a voice suddenly filled the room, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Identification required," it said, the words resonating in a language Zara somehow understood despite never having heard before. State your designation and purpose. Zara swallowed hard, her mouth suddenly dry. This was it. First contact with whatever this was. She straightened her back, trying to project a confidence she didn't entirely feel. I am Zara Chen, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Human salvager and explorer. I came here seeking knowledge and understanding. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, the energy within the cylinder began to shift and swirl more rapidly. The humanoid shape within became more defined, taking on distinct features. Human, the voice said, a note of curiosity in its tone. Unknown species. Anomaly detected, initiating full awakening protocol. The cylinder began to glow brighter and brighter, forcing Zara to shield her eyes. There was a sound like shattering glass, and then a rush of air that nearly knocked her off her feet. When she lowered her arm, Zara found herself face to face with a being unlike any she had ever seen. It was humanoid in shape, but its body seemed to be made of the same swirling energy she had seen in the cylinder, now contained within a form that was both solid and ethereal. Greetings, Zara Chen of the humans, the being said, its voice now coming from a defined source. I am the sentinel, guardian of this station and keeper of its secrets. You have awakened me from my long slumber. The sentinel tilted its head, studying Zara with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce right through her. Tell me, human, are you prepared for the responsibility that comes with this discovery? For in awakening me, you have set in motion events that will shape the fate of your species and countless others. Zara's mind reeled, struggling to process everything that had just happened. But as she looked into the sentinel's eyes, she felt a sense of purpose settling over her. This was why she had always pushed further, always sought the next big find. This was her moment. I'm ready, she said, her voice firm with newfound determination. Whatever comes next, I'm ready to face it. The sentinel nodded, a gesture so human it caught Zara off guard. Then let us begin, it said. For there is much to do, and the fate of the galaxy may well rest in your hands, Zara Chen of the humans. As the weight of those words settled upon her, Zara couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. She had come seeking salvage and instead found destiny. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew one thing for certain: the universe would never be the same again. Awakening the Guardian. Zara Chen stood in awe before the sentinel, her mind racing to process the magnitude of what had just transpired. The being of swirling energy regarded her with an intensity that made her feel as if her very soul was being examined. So, Zara said, breaking the silence that had fallen between them, you mentioned something about the fate of the galaxy. That's a lot to take in. The sentinel's form shimmered, its energy patterns shifting in what Zara interpreted as a nod. Indeed, the awakening of this station is but the first step in a sequence of events set in motion eons ago. But before we can proceed, I must fully reactivate my systems and restore this station to its former glory. Zara's eyes lit up with excitement. This was familiar territory, solving technical problems, bringing old systems back to life. It was what she did best. All right then, she said, rubbing her hands together. Where do we start? The sentinel gestured towards the data terminals lining the walls. These consoles contain the station's primary control systems. However, they have been dormant for millennia. The reactivation process will require careful calibration and, I suspect, creative problem-solving. As Zara approached the nearest terminal, she realized the enormity of the task before her. The controls were utterly alien, a mix of holographic displays and physical interfaces that seemed to defy human ergonomics. This might take a while, Zara muttered, more to herself than to the sentinel. Time is a luxury we cannot afford, the sentinel replied, its voice tinged with urgency. Every moment we delay, the threat to this galaxy grows stronger. Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenge ahead. No pressure, then, she said with a wry smile. Let's get to work. Over the next several hours, Zara immersed herself in the alien technology. The Sentinel provided guidance where it could, but much of its own knowledge was fragmented, lost in the long years of dormancy. Zara found herself relying increasingly on her intuition and problem-solving skills. She jerry-rigged connections between incompatible systems, repurposed components in ways their original designers had likely never imagined, and more than once resorted to the universal engineering solution of percussive maintenance, also known as giving something a good whack. As she worked, the stations slowly came to life around them. Lights flickered on in long dark corridors. Holographic displays sputtered and stabilized. The low hum of awakening machinery filled the air. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As Zara attempted to bring the main power core online, a surge of energy ripped through the systems, overloading circuits and sending cascading failures throughout the station. "Shit," Zara exclaimed, her fingers flying over the controls as she tried to contain the damage. "Sentinel, I need you to divert power from the auxiliary systems to stabilize the core." The Sentinel's form blurred as it interfaced directly with the station's systems. "I cannot," it replied, its voice strained. "The surge has damaged my connection to the auxiliary controls." Zara's mind raced. The entire station was on the verge of a catastrophic meltdown. She needed a solution, and she needed it now. Then an idea struck her. It was risky, borderline insane, but it just might work. "Sentinel," she called out, already moving towards a panel she had noticed earlier. "You said this station responds to me, right? That it recognized me as an anomaly." "Correct," the Sentinel replied, confusion evident in its tone. "Then let's use that," Zara said, prying open the panel to reveal a mess of glowing circuitry. "I'm going to interface directly with the station's core. My anomalous presence should disrupt the feedback loop and give you the opening you need to regain control." The Sentinel's energy patterns flared in alarm. "The risk to you would be extreme. The raw energy of the core could overwhelm your biological systems." Zara grinned, a wild light in her eyes. "Well, then it's a good thing humans are known for doing extremely risky things. Here goes nothing." Before the Sentinel could protest further, Zara plunged her hands into the circuitry. Pain unlike anything she had ever experienced coursed through her body. She felt as if she was being torn apart and put back together at the molecular level. But through the pain, Zara could sense the station responding to her presence. The chaotic energy began to stabilize, coalescing around her like she was the eye of a storm. "Now, Sentinel," she managed to cry out through gritted teeth. The Sentinel's form blazed with light as it seized the opportunity Zara had created. In a matter of seconds, it reasserted control over the station's systems, bringing the power surge under control and stabilizing the core. As the crisis passed, Zara stumbled back from the panel, her legs giving out beneath her. The Sentinel was there in an instant, its energy form solidifying enough to support her. "That," the Sentinel said, its voice filled with a mixture of awe and concern, "was either an act of supreme bravery or utter foolishness." Zara laughed weakly, her entire body tingling with residual energy. "In my experience, the two often go hand in hand." As the Sentinel helped her to her feet, Zara noticed something had changed. The station felt alive in a way it hadn't before, and more than that, she could sense it. It was as if a new awareness had awakened within her, a connection to the very heart of the ancient structure. "Sentinel," she said slowly, "I think something's different. I can feel the station." The Sentinel's energy patterns shifted in what Zara was beginning to recognize as surprise. "Fascinating. It appears your direct interface with the core has forged a symbiotic link between you and the station. This is unprecedented." Zara flexed her fingers, marveling at the sensation of energy flowing just beneath her skin. "Is this permanent?" "Unknown," the Sentinel replied, "but it may prove invaluable in the trials to come." As if on cue, a series of alarms began to sound throughout the station. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing a map of the surrounding space. A massive object was approaching rapidly. "It appears," the sentinel said gravely, "that our activities have not gone unnoticed. We have drawn the attention of forces that would prefer this station remain dormant." Zora's newfound connection to the station fed her information faster than she could consciously process it. Weapon systems, shield generators, propulsion drives, all were coming online, responding to the imminent threat. A grin spread across Zora's face as she felt the power at her fingertips. This was more than just salvage. This was a chance to make a real difference, to be part of something greater than herself. "Well then," she said, cracking her knuckles as she approached the main control console. "Let's show them why it's a bad idea to pick a fight with a human and an ancient alien superweapon." The Sentinel's energy form pulsed with what might have been approval. Indeed, the galaxy is about to learn that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As the unknown threat drew closer, Zara felt a surge of adrenaline. This was just the beginning of a much larger adventure, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With her human ingenuity and the Sentinel's ancient wisdom, they just might stand a chance of saving the galaxy. The battle was about to begin, and Zara Chen, once a simple salvager, now stood at the helm of the most powerful weapon in the known universe. The fate of countless civilizations rested in her hands, and she was determined not to let them down. Unraveling the mystery. The ancient space station hummed with energy as Zara Chen and the Sentinel prepared to face the approaching threat. Through her newfound connection to the station, Zara could sense every system, every power fluctuation, as if they were extensions of her own body. "Sentinel," Zara called out, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "What exactly are we up against here?" The being of pure energy shifted, its form coalescing next to her. The approaching vessel bears similarities to those used by the Void Hunters, a group dedicated to suppressing advanced technologies that could upset the balance of power in the galaxy. Zora's eyes widened. Void Hunters sounds ominous. "I'm guessing they're not here to welcome us with open arms." "Indeed not," the Sentinel replied, its tone grave. "They seek to ensure that relics such as this station remain dormant, their power untapped and their secrets buried." As the Void Hunter's ship drew closer, Zora activated the station's long-dormant defensive systems. Shield generators hummed to life, and weapon arrays charged with crackling energy. "Incoming transmission," Zora announced, feeling the communication request more than seeing it on any display. A holographic image flickered to life before them, revealing a figure shrouded in shadows. Its voice, when it spoke, was a harsh, grating sound that sent shivers down Zora's spine. "Attention, unknown vessel," the figure growled. "You have activated a restricted artifact. Power down immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with lethal force." Zora exchanged a glance with the Sentinel, then stepped forward, squaring her shoulders. "This is Zara Chen of Earth. We've claimed this station, and we have no intention of powering down or being boarded. How about you turn around, and we pretend this little encounter never happened?" The shadowy figure seemed to lean forward, its hidden eyes boring into Zara. "A human?" It spat, disbelief evident in its tone. "Impossible. Your kind lacks the technology to activate such a relic." "Yeah, well," Zara replied with a grin, "we're full of surprises." Without warning, the Void Hunter's ship opened fire. Energy beams lanced out, impacting the station's shields in a dazzling display of light. Zara's hands flew over the controls, the station responding to her thoughts almost faster than she could form them. Return fire erupted from hidden weapon ports, catching the Void Hunters off guard. "Their shields are down to 60%, Zara reported, exhilaration coursing through her veins. "We've got them on the ropes." But the Sentinel's energy form pulsed with concern. "Be cautious, Zara Chen. The Void Hunters are not to be underestimated. Their technology, while not as advanced as this station's, is formidable." As if to prove the Sentinel's point, the enemy ship unleashed a barrage of missiles. Most were intercepted by the station's point defense systems, but a few slipped through, rocking the ancient structure. Alarms blared as Zara fought to stabilize their shields. "Okay," she muttered, "maybe this won't be as easy as I thought." The battle raged on, a deadly dance of energy beams, missiles, and countermeasures. Zara found herself pushed to the limits of her newfound abilities, the station's vast power straining against her human mind's capacity to direct it. Just when it seemed they might gain the upper hand, the Void Hunters unveiled their trump card. A pulse of strange, dark energy erupted from their ship, washing over the station. Zara cried out in pain as her connection to the station was suddenly severed. Systems began to shut down all around them, plunging sections of the station into darkness. What was that?" Zara gasped, struggling to her feet. The sentinel's form flickered weakly. "A null field," it explained, its voice strained. "It disrupts the energy patterns that power this station. I fear we may be outmatched." But Zara wasn't ready to give up. Her mind raced, searching for a solution. Then, an idea struck her. Crazy, dangerous, but just maybe crazy enough to work. "Sentinel," she said, her voice filled with determination, "I need you to give me full access to the station's historical database." The Sentinel's energy patterns swirled in confusion. "The database? Zara Chen, I fail to see how that will help us in our current predicament." "Trust me," Zara replied, already moving towards a secondary console that had escaped the null field's effects. "You said this station has secrets. Well, it's time we use them." As the Void Hunters prepared for another attack, Zara dove into the station's vast repository of knowledge. Millennia of history, scientific discoveries, and technological advancements flowed through her mind. And there, buried deep within the data, she found what she was looking for. "Got it," she exclaimed, her fingers flying over the controls. "Sentinel, I need you to reroute all remaining power to the central core. We're going to overload it." The Sentinel's form pulsed with alarm. "Overload the core." Zara Chen, the resulting explosion would destroy not only this station but everything within a significant radius. Zara grinned, a wild light in her eyes. "That's the idea. But we're not going to explode. We're going to jump." Understanding dawned in the Sentinel's swirling energy patterns. The phase shift drive, but it was never successfully tested. The risks are better than certain destruction, Zara finished. "Now, are you with me or not?" For a moment, the Sentinel was silent. Then its form solidified, taking on a more humanoid appearance. "I am with you, Zara Chen. Your species' propensity for daring plans in the face of impossible odds is admirable." As the Void Hunter's ship moved in for the kill, Zara initiated the phase shift sequence. The station's core began to pulse with blinding energy, building to levels that threatened to tear the ancient structure apart. The Void Hunters, sensing something was amiss, increased their attack, desperate to stop whatever the humans were planning. But it was too late. Just as the station seemed on the verge of destruction, reality itself seemed to bend around them. Zara felt a sensation of falling, of being stretched and compressed simultaneously. And then, in a flash of light that outshone nearby stars, the station vanished. When Zara's vision cleared, she found herself staring at an unfamiliar starscape. The Void Hunters were nowhere to be seen. We did it," she breathed, scarcely believing their survival. "Sentinel, where are we?" The Sentinel's form coalesced beside her, its energy patterns reflecting a mix of awe and concern. "According to the station's navigational systems, we have traveled several thousand light years in an instant. We are in a region of space unknown to my databanks." Zara let out a laugh that was part relief, part hysteria. "Well, that's one way to lose a tail, but something tells me our problems are just beginning." As if in response to her words, new alarms began to sound. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing a massive structure in nearby space, a structure that dwarfed even their ancient station. "Sentinel?" Zara asked, her voice hushed with awe. "What is that?" The sentinel's energy form pulsed with recognition and what might have been fear. That, Zara Chen, is the reason this station was built. The threat I was created to counter. And if it has awakened... Zara felt a chill run down her spine as the sentinel's words trailed off. Whatever this new threat was, it was clear that their adventure was far from over. In fact, it seemed the real challenges were only just beginning. As she gazed at the looming structure, Zara couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and excitement. This was why she had always pushed the boundaries, always sought the next big discovery. And now, she'd found herself at the center of a cosmic mystery that could determine the fate of the entire galaxy. Well, she said, straightening her shoulders, I guess we better figure out what we're dealing with. The galaxy isn't going to save itself. The sentinel's form shimmered in what might have been approval. Indeed, Zara Chen, it seems the true test of humanity's potential is about to begin. As they prepared to face this new, unknown threat, Zara couldn't help but smile. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready to face it, with human ingenuity, alien technology, and a determination that knew no bounds. The mystery of the ages was about to be unraveled, and Zara Chen, once a simple salvager, now stood at the forefront of a battle for the very future of the galaxy. Race against time. The massive structure loomed before them, a behemoth of alien design that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. Zara Chen stood at the control console of the ancient station, her mind racing with possibilities and dangers. Sentinel, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, I think it's time you filled me in on what exactly we're dealing with here. The energy being coalesced beside her, its form pulsing with a mix of anticipation and dread. That, Zara Chen, is the nexus, a cosmic engine of unimaginable power, created by a race so ancient they had long since vanished when my creators first achieved sentience. Zara's eyes widened, and let me guess, if it falls into the wrong hands, bad things happen. More than you can imagine, the sentinel replied gravely. The nexus has the power to reshape reality itself. In the wrong hands, it could unmake entire galaxies, rewrite the fundamental laws of the universe. Well, Zara said with a nervous laugh, no pressure then. So what's our play here? The sentinel's energy patterns shifted, forming a rough approximation of a thoughtful expression. We must prevent the nexus from fully activating. Its power signature suggests it is in the early stages of an awakening cycle. If we can interrupt that cycle, we may be able to shut it down. Zara nodded, her fingers already dancing across the holographic controls. All right, let's get closer and see what we're working with. As they maneuvered the station towards the nexus, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Her suspicions were confirmed moments later when alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple ships detected, she called out, reading the data flowing through her mind. They're coming from all directions. The space around them seemed to come alive as vessels of various sizes and designs dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Some Zara recognized from her days as a salvager, Arcturian cruisers, Jotak warpods, even a few human ships. But others were completely alien to her. It appears, the sentinel said, its tone grim, that we are not the only ones who sense the nexus' awakening. These are representatives from across the galaxy, all drawn by the promise of ultimate power. A cacophony of transmission requests flooded the station's communications array. Zara, overwhelmed by the sudden onslaught of data, stumbled back from the console. Easy there, a familiar voice called out. Zara turned to see a holographic projection of Commander Holland, her old boss from the salvage outpost. Looks like you've stirred up quite the hornet's nest, Chen. Zara's jaw dropped. Commander, how did you find you? Holland finished with a smirk. Please, you think I didn't have trackers on all my salvage ships? When you disappeared off the grid, I followed your last known trajectory. Imagine my surprise when I found this. She gestured at the ancient station and the looming nexus beyond. Before Zara could respond, other transmissions broke through. Alien faces filled the air around them, each clamoring for attention. The nexus belongs to the Arcturian hegemony, one bellowed. Foolishness. Its power must be harnessed for the greater good of all species. Another countered. Destroy it. A third voice screeched. Such power is too dangerous to exist. Zara's head spun as she tried to make sense of the competing claims and demands. The sentinel, sensing her distress, moved closer. We cannot allow any of them to claim the nexus, it said urgently. The consequences would be catastrophic. Zara nodded, taking a deep breath to center herself. Then, drawing on a reserve of courage she didn't know she possessed, she stepped forward and raised her voice. Enough, she shouted, her voice amplified by the station's systems. To her surprise, the chaotic babble of voices fell silent. Listen up, she continued, her voice firm. I don't know all of you and you don't know me. But right now, I'm the one standing between you and that thing out there. She pointed towards the nexus. And let me tell you, none of you have the faintest idea what you're dealing with. She could sense the skepticism, the disbelief radiating from the assembled alien representatives, but she pressed on. This station, it's older than most of your civilizations, and it was built for one purpose, to safeguard the galaxy from the very thing you're all fighting over. Now, you can either work with us to shut it down, or you can fight amongst yourselves and risk destroying everything. Your choice. For a moment, there was silence. Then, to Zara's amazement, voices began to speak up in support. The human speaks wisdom, a gravelly voice announced. The holographic image shifted to show a being that looked like a cross between a mountain and a sentient crystal formation. I am Korax of the Silicon Collective. We will stand with you. Others followed suit, the Arcturians, begrudgingly offering their advanced shielding technology, the Zotac, pledging their formidable computational power. Even Commander Holland, representing Earth, promised whatever support they could muster. As the impromptu alliance began to form, the Sentinel's energy patterns pulsed with something akin to hope. You have done the impossible, Zara Chen. You have united beings who have been at war for millennia. Zara allowed herself a small smile. Yeah, well, nothing brings people together like the threat of total annihilation. Now, let's figure out how to shut that thing down. Over the next few hours, Zara coordinated with the Allied fleet, pooling resources and knowledge. The Sentinel provided crucial insights into the Nexus's systems, while Zara's human intuition helped bridge gaps in understanding between the diverse species. But even as they made progress, the Nexus continued its awakening cycle. Strange energy pulses rippled out from its core, causing distortions in the fabric of space-time. We're running out of time, Zara muttered, poring over the latest simulations. We need to act now, or it'll be too late. The plan they had cobbled together was risky at best, suicidal at worst. It involved using the Allied fleet to create a resonance field around the Nexus, while Zara and the Sentinel would use their station to deliver a concentrated burst of energy directly into its core, disrupting the awakening cycle. As the fleet moved into position, Zara couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Billions of lives across the galaxy were depending on the success of this desperate plan. Sentinel, she said softly, if this doesn't work. The energy being's form solidified, placing what felt like a hand on her shoulder. Then we will have given everything in the attempt. Your species has a saying, I believe, it is better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Zara nodded, a determined glint in her eye. Damn right. Let's do this. As one, the Ally fleet began generating the resonance field. The space around the Nexus warped and twisted, reality itself seeming to strain under the enormous energies being unleashed. Zara guided their station into position, every fiber of her being connected to its ancient systems. She could feel the power building, ready to be released in one catastrophic burst. On my mark, she called out, her voice carrying to every ship in the fleet. 3, 2, 1, mark. The station's energy beam lanced out, a blinding spear of light that pierced the heart of the Nexus. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound that seemed to shake the very foundations of the universe, the nexus began to collapse in on itself. Space twisted, folded, and warped around them. All ships fall back, Zara screamed, already maneuvering the station away from the collapsing cosmic engine. As they retreated to a safe distance, Zara and the assembled fleet watched in awe as the nexus, the most powerful artifact in the known universe, imploded in a dazzling display of light and energy. When the light faded and the sensors cleared, where the nexus had been there was now nothing. Not even empty space, just a void, as if that section of the universe had been erased from existence. Zara slumped back in her chair, exhaustion and relief washing over her in equal measure. "We did it," she breathed. "We actually did it." The Sentinel's energy form pulsed with what could only be described as joy. "Indeed, Zara Chen, against all odds you have saved the galaxy." As congratulations and celebrations erupted across the Allied fleet, Zara couldn't help but smile. She had started this journey as a simple salvager, looking for her next big score. Now she found herself at the center of a new galactic alliance, with the fate of countless civilizations in her hands. But as she looked out at the stars, a new thought occurred to her. If the Nexus was real, what other cosmic wonders and dangers might be out there, waiting to be discovered? One thing was certain, the adventure was far from over. And Zara Chen, human explorer and unlikely hero, was ready to face whatever the universe had in store.